Okay, so I was thinking we could say to each other before we start each episode, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then we could say friends first, partner second.
Oh, that's kind of toxic.
Okay. Just I love you, I love you, I love you. Just I love you, I love you, I love you.
Friends first, partners second.
No, because we're friends before we're business partners.
Oh, I thought you meant our partners.
Oh, no.
I was like, that's kind of against everything.
No, like, friend, like, okay, what if we say love first, work second?
I love that.
Okay.
That's quicker,
but
too.
We have to hold hands.
Oh, my God. This is so cringe. Okay. I go, do it.
Do it. Okay, ready? Look at me. I love you, I love you, I love you. Yeah. Love first, work second.
Love first, work second.
Love first, work second. I love you, I love you, I love you.
That's really nice. Okay, we're here.
We can end our episodes like that, too, actually. That would be a cute way to go out.
I need, like, funnier to end.
Okay, well, we should do that before we start each episode.
Yeah.
We can play around with it.
Are we recording?
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, everybody.
Wait, your dogs are out.
Before I actually forget, my dogs are out. It's Nicole and Caroline. We're here. We've been in the sun all day. That is a good relationship tip. We were just talking about with Johnny, our producer.
Oh, what?
When... Like how I was saying, I'm like a toddler. Like we do this thing where we have to be silent before we start the podcast for 10 seconds, which is the hardest thing ever for me to just simply shut the fuck up for 10 seconds. Caroline's always really good at it. She takes it very seriously. Finally, I was like, Johnny, why do we have to do this? Like just explain why and I guess I'll respect it more. Even though that makes me sound like a brat. Like I do respect it. Whatever.
No, I think because you understand it's important now.
Yes.
No, but you're right that it's like that's like a parenting tactic, I think, where they're like, you're never supposed to say, or something we're supposed to be doing differently in this generation than our parents is never say because I said so.
Yeah.
Because you're basically belittling your child's brain, like that they're not going to be able to understand the why, and be careful of when you use it because it could gateway into you using that as like a selfish explanation.
One thing I love about you is that you know parenting tactics. Like you definitely sat down at your computer and Googled like parenting tactics.
Okay, the reason I know so much about stuff like this is because I will say it to John and then he will like want to start a debate with me. And then I will be like, be right back. I'm going to prove you wrong. Like I am a researcher. Like
you love researching.
The problem is I also married somebody that loves to research. So normally I could say I researched this and someone would just like believe me, but I married the person that's like, I didn't see that article. So I will look it up.
You're a looker-upper.
I'm a looker-upper because John's a looker-upper and it's really annoying. Like
Mike and I are not looker-uppers.
Oh, sometimes I'm like, John, if that is Google underneath the table, I swear to God, I'm going to jump across at you with a fork in my hand. Like, we will be at dinner. It's like, I know what he's like trying to Google something but like make direct eye contact with me. Like, it's like as if he's not.
That's so funny and interesting. Mike and I will like argue to the death based on like what we think we heard from so-and-so and instead of just simply looking it up.
I don't like to be looked up on. I'm going to be real. Because like, oh, like it's so frustrating.
Have I ever
it's
looked up on you?
Never.
I think I'm too lazy to look up.
There are different types of looker-uppers. I dated a guy in high school who was like the worst kind of looker-upper. Like they just are out there to be a smart ass for the fun of it. It's like, oh my God, can you just like please for once have a conversation with someone without being out to get them?
Yeah.
Like that to me is like so toxic and annoying.
No, but there's types of looker-uppers who aren't even trying to prove a know-it-all thing, but you'll be talking about like, why are frogs green? That's so random. What the?
No,
but and they'll be like, I would look that up. Look it up. And I'm like, I'm fine with not looking up. I'm fine with creatively speculating and just never knowing.
That's what John and I talk about a good percentage of the time we're looking stuff up.
Like
even today, I sent you a vitamin and I was like, let's look it up.
Yeah, I love a vitamin look up.
I'm a looker-upper. I'm a researcher, so I come prepared, and nothing beats the look on John's face when he goes to look me up on something I shared with him, but I already came with receipts, and he goes to look it up, and I see the look on his face drop when he discovers that he is dead wrong. I'm right a good amount of the time, but John is right a good amount of the time too. John will pretend like he never went to look it up in the first place. He'll pretend like he forgot all about the conversation.
Yeah, I do that. I like side skirt.
I'll just start laughing. When I'm wrong, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
You got it.
I'll admit when I'm wrong. Mike will too.
But I think the point is like you should, knowing why things work and what stuff comes from.
It helps.
It helps.
Like now I'm going to respect the
and
silence.
I do know that type of parenting from a lookup like debate.
That's how we got there.
That's how we got there. That was a circle around.
My like brain is moving slower today. The sun really takes it out of you.
We both still have our bathing suits on.
Yeah, we're like half naked if you're watching. No, I'm kidding.
Mine's blue. Nikki's actually matches her pants.
No, I'm wearing like the most leopard thing ever. I really leaned into the leopard print.
That's a great outfit with heels and just the bathing suit top on in Miami.
That would be too revealing. Too revealing for me.
I'm like ovulating and it hurts
Revealing
so bad when
is
I laugh.
such a...
I think we're actually PMSing.
You and your ovulation.
But aren't we PMSing?
That would so make sense. Because I woke up bitching.
So if we start on the 6th, like our periods.
Yeah.
I do think we're PMSing this week.
Yeah, I woke up in a bad mood on this Monday morning.
I think that I'm cashing in some good karma because I had such a bad month last month that I just like don't think God will do me like that twice. I think I'm going to be okay.
Why are hormones the way they are with women?
I don't know.
Do men feel the up and down like we do as much?
No, which is why the conversation we were having earlier that like women should be allowed to just go about their lives and have fun, nice days makes sense because we are under so much duress naturally.
We're under a lot of duress. Society doesn't make it easy.
My body was born and built to be working 24/7. My body works 24/7. It takes it out of me.
Yeah.
I'd like to be supported in like what brings me joy throughout the day.
Same. What brings you joy?
What brings me joy? Going to the pool.
It
being on the water.
Like I'm like drunk or high. I swear I didn't have a drop of alcohol today.
You really didn't. I had a hard kombucha though. I actually offered to bring Nicole cannabis infused tequila and she shut it down so fast.
I said, quote, I love you, but that sounds like my worst nightmare.
Wait, so you said you actually tried it though?
I did once unintentionally.
So I have a lot of interest because people like really want to know what it's like, but I personally do not like being high.
No.
So what was yours? What was it like trying it? Because you're the only one out of the two of us that has and probably will try it.
So it was a drink, a legally sold cannabis drink. I don't think it like got me. I wasn't tripping balls, but I remember just being like, whoa, I definitely feel it. And I had to go to dinner with like my friend, her family members, and they're all so cool, thank God. But like, I just remember in my head being like too much in my head and being like, oh fuck, now I have to go to dinner and just like talk to adults. Like,
did it make you? Because it's not the CBD infused, like it's legitimately like a weed drink.
Yeah, it makes you feel a little high.
And does it taste like weed?
And I thought it was just a seltzer. That's
because I feel like it's like. Ew, does it taste like weed?
Yeah, it wasn't the best. I remember just being like, you have to really like this and be a specific type of person to like seek this out.
Was yours mixed with something? Like the kind I have is like a liquor. Like they're selling this new liquor called Nowadays and it's...
Oh, I've seen that. No, it was just straight up. I thought it was like a poppy.
Okay, so yours was like seltzery, bubbly, like it was already mixed with something? Okay, I think it's going to have to be mixed with something. I don't think I'm going to try it.
No, I don't. I think we should just, and especially before the podcast, imagine podcasting high. No. I know some people do it and it looks great for them. So much fun. I could never.
I am going to be honest with you. I have had to be put to bed by my mom.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
occasion.
that you've gotten high before the podcast.
No. Oh my God, I'm not a smoker. I didn't even I never even really participated in that activity. I think I smoked weed once in college.
See, that tracks for you.
Which now I'm like, good for you, Carol, because something was just telling me not to do it. And now I'm like, there is a good ass reason because your mom has to put you to bed.
Yeah, no.
Like my mom will stand in front of me on the couch and be like, hey, everybody, Caroline just needs a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe let's take the party outside. And I'll just be stuck. I can't move I can't do anything. I'm like gonna cry.
I used to be able to in college around the right group of people. It would have to be like safe people. It was like when you trip mushrooms, except I was smoking weed.
See, I didn't like the mushrooms either. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
So these are things that really solidify, and I love that we're all on this journey together, that I have got to be in control of my scenarios.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I know, like, I could never do coke.
Speaking
just
of,
like flat out, like, it just wouldn't work for me.
You've never?
Oh. No, I've never, and I never will. Because in my mind, I'm like, I will die. Like, it's going to be laced with something, I will die. Or like, I'm going to be needed for a situation and not going to be able.
I have a very weird personality where I want to try everything once, but I'm fine. Like, I don't need to do it again. You know what I mean? Not
everything.
Actually, kind of.
Ow, like why does my ovary hurt
I
so
just
badly?
like, I'm the type of person, if I don't try it, I'm like, what is it like? I want to try it. But not everything. Like, let's get like.
Yeah, like there might be a line.
Yeah, there's a line. Okay. Speaking of getting trippy and doing things, I had written down on our outline from like 10 years ago, because we've been bulk recording episodes. So I don't know what blends. We talk so much in our everyday life. Like, we were together all day. So I'm like, did we already talk about that? Was it on the podcast or was it? And
oh, right.
Also, side note, you guys, what I'm realizing is these listeners get our full selves. We're not different people when we're not on the pod.
No, we came off the subway, walked down 39th Street, walked up into the studio, sat down, kept having the same conversation.
Yeah. Like, it's made me, I think it made me realize after having Mike on, because he was like, we talked about this, like a formal job interview. I was like, you're being too professional. But like, he has to remain normal and professional because he has a real job. Like, and
people who will watch this,
Yeah, and not that we don't have to be professional people in life, but I think like just us doing this for so long at this point, I act like we've been doing it for years and years, but like us just being public for so long has made us just so unfiltered.
When you sit next to someone having a conversation with someone who's not being that, like I think that it makes it more obvious.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, I'll really say whatever the fuck comes to
Someone
mind.
said this once. They were like, I'm gonna have to be myself because it's too much work to like be anybody else.
Oh.
And I always think about that with like anything like this, any type of public speaking, like regardless of what you're doing, is like it's way harder to be somebody else.
That's really beautiful.
If you being yourself works, be yourself and make an effort to lean into that, because I think doing anything else would actually take more work.
That's really beautiful.
Oh.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you have to be comfortable with yourself.
Which is hard.
There's been times when I'm not loving myself as much, so it's like harder to be myself if I don't love her, you know?
I also, so random, I really recommend people get their like a Reiki reading, and this is going to sound so bizarre coming from me.
You just read my mind.
Oh,
Go
shut
on.
up.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I was going to bring up the spiritual shit.
Okay, because I obviously like, this is a very contradictory, like, what word am I looking for? Controversial subject, even in my house. Like, John's like doesn't like it. Like, he doesn't believe in it. And I'm very Christian. Like, I just still believe that there's such a great spirituality about this. And I believe that everyone should get it once for this one specific reason. And I've only had it once myself. And I don't necessarily feel the need to go back, but I just feel like I learned something about myself, which is what my blocked auras are and what I like my body's mission to heal. So I learned that my body's mission, essentially, like my throat chakra, is like generations of women with blocked like chakras, like trauma. And the way that I have chosen to heal is through my throat chakra, which is why I've ended up in this path of like talking.
Wow.
And
when did you do this?
This was last Christmas. Like, we had someone come to the house for a sound bath. Like, I've told you guys how we like start our Christmas week with like a one activity extra.
One sound bath thing? Or have you?
I've done sound baths before, but I've never had like a Reiki reading after it, except for this one.
Oh my God, we need to do this on the podcast. If you guys know,
and it was
Reiki
really
people.
cool. And like that, it was very quick. Like, it was just a once over, but it was so crazy to learn that like,
yeah,
because there were things I already knew. Like, for example, weirdly, all of my dreams in life are culminations of my grandmother's dreams. Like, my grandmother was a designer and made her own clothes and like had her like labels, but she was never able to like make anything of it. Like, that was not a time in life, like they were not financially able.
Oh, so you're gonna like fulfill.
And then like my grandmother on my dad's side, like so into like fashion as well, and like, but she never could like have a job because she was in a very traditional Southern marriage.
A Reiki master straight up sat down and told you all this? Were you like,
I just like my thing for design and stuff like felt like I came out of like the womb with it. And so it kind of solidified like you're really working to rectify generations of like trauma from your female ancestors that like never got to like fulfill or like bring to fruition their things. You do have a very like
natural eye for things. Like I think there's people that have a natural eye, and then there's people that like can learn and have an eye, but I feel like you inherently just like have a natural eye for visuals.
Thank you. That's actually so nice. Thank you. But
I know,
just
that's
like
a big compliment.
That's a huge compliment.
But I love when I like know what people's like what will really
like the right thing
make
to say.
them tick in a good way and compliment them on it.
So this Reiki girl, she literally is like, you definitely like these are all things that are happening. So I kind of was like, that makes sense. I've always had this like feeling that the dreams I'm making come true are like not for myself. Like they're for my mom, they're for her mom, they're for my dad's mom. Like I've always known those things. Like any accomplishment I have has happened on very bizarre days. Like they'll happen on like my grandmother's like wedding anniversary, like whatever it is. But she said your throat chakra is what is blocked, and you're going to get to where you're going by practicing opening up, by talking through things. And so like that's your healing, is through your throat chakra. And so I've realized that even through this podcast, like that is why I'm growing, is because I'm figuring out how to use my throat chakra. Like I'm figuring out how to talk through things.
That's fascinating. And I feel like therapy probably helps with that too, but also the pod.
But therapy is
talking.
Is you exercising your like throat chakra. Like it still is that. Like I need talk therapy.
Hurting as you're saying it. Therapy is I say this every week. I promise I'm getting into it.
Wait, so what was your thing about, what were you going to say about Reiki?
I wanted to discuss both that you brought. I wanted to discuss sound bath, which we'll get to in a second, and then we'll get to all of our AMA questions and answer questions. But Reiki, I did this years ago in like 2018. I don't know. Something with my stomach was happening. It was either good or bad. What does that mean?
I don't know. Like I'm not an expert on this like at all.
Never mind. Reiki
we can look it up.
No, not the look up. No, see this is a classic. I'm like, I'm good to move on from that. You're like, let's
I'm like, I want to know.
No. Okay, but whatever. I just remember during my Reiki session, I had a vision of a castle in like London. I know, cool, right? And like, and I was in it, like corset vibes. And apparently I have a very old soul. I have been told that.
Are you about to tell me that you saw yourself in a past life?
I think that, or like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But there was like fruit, like very like much riches, like, you know, like a old Victorian painting. I'm a Victorian child in a Victorian painting essentially. And then I saw the same castle. I was in it with a big lavish like dinner in my sound bath session that I recently went to. And I saw a couple other visions. I saw a lot of curtains. So like, what does that mean? All different colors, curtains.
Oh, the colors. The colors are your different auras. Like that's like your chakras have different colors. Okay. So like the colors you were seeing was probably more
curtains. There were like floor to ceiling. One was a red.
Yeah, like I think the colors of the curtains are probably more important than the fact it was a curtain.
One was tan.
But like that's red. Like a stage, like you're behind the curtain.
Okay. Well,
right?
What am I gonna do? Freaking.
Wait, so can you give me more? So like, were you seeing yourself like, were you above yourself, like seeing yourself at a dinner party in this Victorian castle?
No, I was in it. I was
okay.
Yeah, I was like with other people. I don't know who they were. Also, during the sound bath, I saw cats and a lion. There was a big feline.
Well, lions are cats.
Felinal presence with me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means. I asked the guy after. He's like, bitch, I don't fucking know.
Like you're a tiger. Oh, you asked him and he didn't know?
No, he was like, what did he say? Oh, he was like, that could be like an empowering thing. Like,
yeah, like you're a tigress. I do feel like it's helpful for people to know, like if you're going to go to a sound bath, like to be able to guide you after, because a lot of people have visions.
I'm like not giving him enough credit. He was like helping interpret my weird stuff. and everybody else in the room. It was a very wonderful experience. Urban Souls Hoboken, shout them out. But what else? Oh, I felt a big, Mike was so pissed. I was like, in front of the whole class, I was like, you're not going to like this, because Mike is very East Coast guy, like wants us to like live, die, eat, sleep, breathe on the East Coast. Very much like not
West Coast.
He's not like hard and fast. Like if suddenly I was like, one of us got a dream opportunity on the West Coast, he would definitely be open to it. But he just prefers East. We're so different. And I could move to the West in 2 seconds. I felt a big West Coast presence. Okay. And I almost like saw us in a house with a yard on the West Coast. Mike said after he saw us in a house and a yard on the East Coast.
Oh, but maybe he didn't have a coast. And then after you said West Coast, he just added East. Would.
Ding, ding, ding.
Men would so be like, East Coast. Like they just saw the house. Maybe he saw exactly what you saw, but when you saw more of the picture, leave it to you to see the bigger picture.
He gaslit me into
he was like, but mine was East Coast.
Well, and then I said, how do you know?
He didn't like it.
He said the yard was giving.
And Mike's asking for a yard and a house. It's like, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
Wait, can I tell you something? My number one saved search is in California right now on Zillow.
What?
I look every morning. I look every morning in California.
Miss Charleston, life in Charleston. What?
I look every morning in California. John loves California.
When people tell me that their men are like, we would do California.
John loves California. I think he would have a hard time moving there because he has a hard time like visualizing being further away from family.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the way that we work though is like he will express that he likes something. He's never going to make it happen. I'm the person that I'm going to be like, this is a dream. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to push us to actually do it. And I'll do like the legwork up until like that move. And I'll like pump us up and be like, we can do this. This is something we can do. He'll be like really hesitant, even though I know like he loves it. He's just like scared and holding himself back. And then once it actually happens, then I think that's where I shut down because I'm like bad at change. Yeah. And then he's really good at like
carrying through.
He carries us through the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So I could see it, but I look it up every day. We've talked about this before. If our podcast ever got big, if we could both move to LA or just somewhere in California.
I think I would like it. Everybody's like, but LA, blah, blah, blah. I get that LA has its qualms, but nature, sunshine. I'm going on Wednesday.
Yeah,
the day after tomorrow.
I just look at it every day. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know where life is going to take us.
It's overpriced. Can I afford it?
Right.
No.
But when I look at houses and when I look at other apartments, like in other parts of the country, I'm looking at different beach towns around like the LA area. I'm looking at San Diego and I'm looking in Charleston. Like those are the three that I look at all the time. And I don't know why I really enjoy that.
Could you actually see yourself moving to California?
Listen, I don't know. I really don't know. Like it's a weird, for being someone that really like enjoys having control over their life, my life got a lot better when I stopped trying to predict where we were going to end up.
Settle.
It got life got significantly easier and almost like progressed faster when I stopped worrying about it. I started making decisions that were in front of me that were the right decision, even long term. But I was being paralyzed from making that decision because I was like playing out, how is this going to work next year and in 5 years and in 10 years from that? And what does that mean for that? And then I think one day my mom said to John, because he freaks out about that stuff too, she was like, the grass gets mowed and the bills get paid. Like no matter what you do, it's going to work out the way that it's supposed to work out. So the best thing that you can do is just try to make the best decision for what's right in front of you.
I love that advice.
Like you can't control what's going to happen or where you're going to end up, no matter how hard you try, basically. So stop trying. And then we started making decisions that have like changed our lives and the trajectory of them and put us on the right path.
That's what I love. Like, that's kind of the mindset we have, too. Because we used to freak out. I feel like COVID just changed everything for all of us, but especially us, too.
Yeah.
Like, we just had more of a life plan, and then COVID made it go to shit. But it's just like, what's the point in stressing over, like, where will we live in 3 years when we are popping out baby number 2? And your plans will change. Like, that's why I think it is so important when you're entering into a marriage have these conversations before and don't have somebody who's so hard and fast and like, we must move back to New Jersey when we're 27 because I grew up there. Like, it's like, you need a flexible mindset, both of you.
You also need to be very confident that you're going to be okay and happy, even if that doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. Two of my good friends from college or high school, both with babies, like they're both living an iteration of kind of like where they thought they would be. But I've seen both of them go through transitions and kind of like ideas of like, okay, maybe we move back to Charleston, or like maybe we do this. And it hasn't panned out that way. And
then they freak out.
Well, no, like they've taken it with stride. But the thing that they both have in common is that they knew these things were possibilities. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that they're like not challenging. And they're very, very strong for how they've like handled things, kind of like playing differently, or like moving here for a year, moving there for a year. But their relationship never hindered on, but as long as we move back there. Like it never was like, that was like not the ultimatum for them. Like their relationship did not go to trash because they didn't make that move back home. Like,
yeah, that's good. You want that flexibility. Like, I can't decide if I like Mike's mindset. I love Mike's mindset. Sorry.
Tell me though.
But does it annoy the fuck out of me sometimes when I'm like, let's move to LA for fun, and then he's like, no, give me a reason to move to LA and I'll move to LA. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I wish he would just be like, yeah, let's go to LA. Fun.
That's the spontaneity that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, because it's a struggle.
It's a struggle because spontaneity is good, but impulsivity is not. But then like sometimes they can gateway to each other.
Worse, because his thing is like, yeah, we'll move to LA, but give me a good reason. Like,
yeah.
But I'm like, my brother's out there. That can't be a good reason. You know.
But that's your Yeah, and maybe one day there will be a good reason one day. I think guys are slower to come around. Like even with John, like he used to be hard and fast about where we were going to live until COVID, until all of these things transpired. And granted, the hard and fast time was like when we were in college. So I knew there was time to change, but it's just not for the lighthearted. Like guys just grow up differently, like, yeah, and on a different timeline. For me, I know like what John enjoys at the end of the day and like what he's capable of. And like, I would never drag him to a city that I thought he was going to hate.
Yeah.
Like I just wouldn't do that. And I know him too well, but I'm also willing to like overlook kind of like the pouting or the resistance about something because I know that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're like, I know you will enjoy it if you just give it a chance.
And I know that the reason we're not doing this is it's not because it's the last thing you want to do. It's because maybe you're scared or maybe you are experiencing that like more male-oriented stress.
Yeah.
That like, what does this mean for you guys, like for stability and for like getting a home, and like where does this put you for like settling down? And those are all great questions. It's just like what's going to happen is going to happen, and what's supposed to happen will.
Why are men less spontaneous with moving?
I don't know. I got a lot of shit for ignoring it. I have to be honest with you guys. When we moved to New York, like people gave me shit for ignoring it. Like with John, like they were like, he doesn't even want to move there. And I'm like,
oh,
that's not true. Like,
did he not want to?
John was less excited than I was.
Okay. But now like, he loves it.
Right. Like
thriving.
A lot of people were like, you're ignoring what he wants. And that's not what was happening at all.
Right.
Like, it's just that just like my strong suit is not handling change, like his is not embracing it, like, or like getting excited for it.
Yes.
Like the prospect of change for him induces a lot of anxiety because it's so much stress. Like,
hence why anytime I bring up traveling, Mike that's a perfect example you just illustrated, or you just said, and I'm going to illustrate it in this scenario. Once Mike is on a trip, he loves it. The kid thrives traveling. It's all he talks about after. He talks about our South African honeymoon still to this day, left and right. You can tell he loves traveling. When I bring up, hey, I would like to go on this trip in 6 months' time, plenty of time to save, to get ready, to play. He convulses. That's one big pain point we've had to work through. I'm like, I'm not asking you to rip your hair out and buy a yacht.
Down, but he shuts down.
I'm asking to see the world. Yeah. Like, what? And I'm like, I know you'll love it. So why are you so like resistant? Like he'll just be like, he'll start pulling out excuses and he'll be like, well, what about Louis? I'm like, what about Louis? We have a great dog
It's
sitter.
the logistical stuff. It freaks them out. They shut down and then they don't want to do it.
Yeah. And then I'm like, we'll get there. We're gonna, this trip is happening.
They're silly questions almost. It feels like silly questions.
We've come a long way. It used to be like he shuts, and he knows now that like irks me to my core. So he'll like stop before bringing up all the excuses and we'll talk it out. And I'll be like,
That's growth. Same thing.
It's growth. But like, I don't know. Does John do that when you try to travel? No, John like plans the trips.
John loves to travel too, but like will have trips half baked planned and then he'll like cancel them because he'll be like, it's not gonna like work out. Like this and this and this isn't gonna work out. Like that was a stupid idea. And it's like that wasn't.
They act like we're trying to like buy a rocket ship and go to the moon.
But my biggest example is New York, and I think that it's just like it was just a weird thing to go through where like I knew I was doing what was best for our relationship. I knew I wasn't doing anything against John's will. I understand that I'm bad at change, and I could see in him what he struggles to like get on board with change because he gets bogged down and stressed by logistics. And I'm looking at these people like, I'm like, am I supposed to just shut up and roll over and like not help us make this move to New York just because he's presenting like it's like he doesn't want to go or like he has hesitations like because of your judgment of what's going on in our relationship, like because the man makes the decision? Like, is it supposed to be this way? Is it supposed to be like she dragged him there, or like, you know, like they did this against his will, or like he doesn't get to make the decisions in the house? I'm like, how many women are there out there, especially in our parents' generation, that never did something that actually could have served their relationship so well because they were so scared to separate like what was actually just anxiety from a man and like actual unwillingness to do something. Like,
well, and I think that's like going back to what we say on quite literally every episode, which is like the united front is so important more than ever, especially in a scenario like that, because I get the same too. Family members, friends of parents, and people will just be like, oh, look, Nikki's dragging them to the city for that city life when Mike really wants to be out in the suburbs. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not forcing him to do anything. B, like, I'm like, it's not like you're sitting there cooped up crying all day. You have a thriving job in the city that you love. And
this
you have
trope
friends.
Really gets me. It's really
And I'm
triggering.
like, everybody stop like painting me out to be some demon who's dragging my husband. I get the same thing.
But it allows them this place to like kind of be like, woe is me about it when they want to complain about the city.
And it's a gaslight thing.
It
because
is.
Then when you do eventually get like, I've seen Mike be like, you know, finally we're going to compromise and move to where I want. And I'm like, no, you want to be here. You like your life here. You like your life.
You like your life. It's just that like you're using it as like a leverage point, all because people are like putting this on you. Where like the man is supposed to make all the decisions. Like I've just never heard like somebody say that about a man before, where they're like, he's dragging her here, unless a guy straight up drags his wife out to like the middle of nowhere and she's made it super known she doesn't want to do it, and like he's like, we have to go because I make the rules. Like in general, when couples make moves, even if it's straight up for the guy's job, not even a decision they made as a couple, people do not look at them and they're like, wow, like you just drag her everywhere. They're like, how do you like your new city? Like that's a pretty cool city. Like what a cool experience you guys are going to have. Even if you're just there for 2 years, I bet it's going to grow on you.
Or it's like you're following him.
Yes. There. It's not like,
the woman's never being dragged. The woman's like lucky to move there, you know, like,
it's so annoying because what's actually going on behind closed doors is like, I'm looking at John having more of a difficult time processing like the anticipation of a move and like, okay, what is it going to take to like get us there, A, B, C, D, F, G? And I'm saying, okay, wait, this side of it I can actually handle. So I'm going to take that from you. Like I'm going to put this on my shoulders for this front load part of it. Mm-hmm. Like visualizing it, mapping it out, figuring out how it's going to happen. Let me do that for us because I know that there's a huge chunk of it later that you're going to do for us that I have a hard time doing too. So there's like a balance that goes into these life decisions. Mm-hmm. And like when I moved here and I had a hard time adjusting, it was like, what? That's just me having a hard time adjusting.
Yeah.
It's not because John dragged me here. Like the narrative never got switched.
Yeah, no. So where are you going to settle? I'm kidding.
I know, right? So anyways, not worrying about that has changed my life. Now we just make decisions for like what it feels like we're being like called to do.
Yeah.
And it has turned out to be for the greater good of our life plan.
Yeah.
Like they've been great
like,
things.
Every couple either makes that decision over like being close to family is a huge one. Mike and I personally, like our families all live in random areas that we don't want to live in. So personally, we're just like, let's kind of let work guide us because we are both passionate about our careers. We're both work oriented. I hate always saying that, but like we are. And
no,
that's the thing. Yeah. Like we're like, that's our compromise to each other. It's like, let's let work guide us. Like if Mike all of a sudden was like, I want to move to Idaho, I'd be like, no, because we're letting work guide us.
One time in college, Sean was like, he was like, if we had to move to like the middle of America and like, and I'd be like, I'd be unhappy. And he was like, right, but like we would be together and we would like have kids. Da, da, da. And
is this, a sick test?
No, dead ass. I was like, well, can I walk to a coffee shop? He was like, no, like it's just like a small little town. Like it's just like whatever. And I was like, is it only big box stores? Like, is it only chain restaurants? Like, he was like, well, but if we had a nice house, like, wouldn't you just be so happy? I was like, no, I would be so miserable. And he's like, even with like me, I wouldn't be enough. And I literally was like, no.
I love your honesty because I hate when people are just like, God forbid everything, we had to live on a deserted island with just each other, we'd be okay. Like, no.
No, you wouldn't. I was like, I'm sorry. That's so toxic. And also never going to we're never going to work out if we keep looking at each other delusionally and say like, no, baby, I don't need anything. I just need you.
No.
Because the reality of it is maybe one day, God forbid, a bunch of stuff happens and you are just left looking at each other like all you have is each other.
If an apocalypse
happens,
happens,
you will be fine. Like, yes, you are still going to be so grateful that you have that person and you're going to say, there's no one else I'd rather go through this with than you. Like,
right.
Thank God our relationship is founded on us liking each other first and not material things. But when you're having a real life conversation about what you want out of life, where you want to be, what you need, what brings you joy on a day-to-day basis, like, those are real life things. Like, I was like, no, like, I'm not going to ever look at you and be like, no, like, take me anywhere. Like, that's enough.
And thank God, because there are some women that say, no, all I need is you, or men too. I'm
right.
sorry.
But then it's like
and then 5 years later down the line, you realize you need more than him, honey.
But I don't want to be
why am I like
in a situation where I'm like having the worst postpartum depression of anyone ever. And there are certain just small things in life that like I already knew. Like, I'm not talking about the stuff that you discover, because I think that there's a lot of stuff you discover like later where you're like, okay, I'm discovering this now in motherhood that like I need this and I didn't realize it before. Like, I'm sure there are a lot of things like that. But for the things that I already know about myself now, I'm not just going to ignore those things in an attempt to be like girly and frilly and prissy and amenable to this guy.
Yeah, no.
Like, those are real things. Like, I was like, no, I would not enjoy that. I would not be cool.
Yeah, no. Like, if you need to have a coffee shop in close proximity, that is something that is important to you. And that literally, like you said, is a little thing that will make you a happier person in the long run when times get tough, which they will.
Yeah, they are and that's very, very true.
All right, let's rattle through some of our AMAs that we've been trying to do for the past 2 episodes and haven't gotten to because the conversation has been so thriving.
So thriving.
Okay.
Partner. Okay, you want me to tip it off? Okay, so the first AMA is tips on how to be a good friend and partner when work is consuming your life.
Why did I write down just weekends? Sorry, okay.
Okay, my answer to that is just to read the article that I shared recently.
You and this damn article, I still haven't read it.
When you read it, you're going to come in here like, I read the article.
No, I'm going to have a deep discussion.
And do you want to know how we found the article? Is by looking shit up.
Oh, I wrote down, the research. Intentional talk questions, which you can research these at the end of the night. Mike and I went through a phase where I was like, our relationship needs this. Probably when we launched the podcast and I decided to tell all the listeners that our relationship was in a
I remember this.
Which we're better now. Yay. But around that time, I was like, at the end of the night, I saw something on TikTok and I was like, we're doing this. We would ask each other, well, mainly me, and then I was like, now you ask them back. We would ask each other these questions, and it was like, how are you feeling right now? It was, I forget,
I like
Google
those.
it, but it was like, one question was like, is there anything I have done this week that I can be doing better to make you happy? Something along the lines of that. And it was like forcing us to like really intentionally sit down and communicate about our feelings and about how we're either annoying each other, or one was like, is there anything I've done this week that really made you happy? Like, and that it sounds so dumb, and it sounds like, okay, have you two ever fucking talked in your life? But when you're sitting down intentionally focusing on that, because sometimes we're all just caught up in life and technology and our phones, and it's easy to miss that stuff. Like, I would miss that, like, Mike got really happy when I made his eggs scrambled instead of fried. I don't fucking know. But if he, like, intentionally tells me, that's something that I'll do again. And it just, like, helps connect at the end of the night.
I like that, because you're just rebuilding that intimacy, which I've said this before, but, like, you have to rebuild the intimacy emotionally before it can, like, be physical.
Ding, ding,
so
ding.
Like, I think that's so great. And also, I think something that's a little overrated is always expecting your partner to, like, notice when something makes them really happy and, like, do it again without conversation about it. And while those things are really great, like, while it's so great if he picks up your favorite thing from the grocery store because he noticed that you liked it, like, when you're consumed with work and they're consumed with work, and by the end of the day, both of you have 0% left in your tank, honest to God, like, they're not necessarily as equipped as you might want them to be to take notice on what's bringing you joy and what's not. So sometimes sitting down and having a conversation to say what brought you joy, like, that's not cheesy.
No.
It's actually saying, I kind of acknowledge that, like, your brain power is being used up before you even get home. So, like, let's intentionally talk about this instead of me expecting you to just, like, always be on 100 looking out for what makes me happy and what makes me feel this way. Like, why don't I just take some initiative and communicate it to you?
Yeah, I love that. I also think I know why I wrote down just the word weekends as a note. I think when you're both very consumed with work, know that it's, like, not forever, unless you're both, like, surgeons, maybe it is forever, sorry, but I just know that it's temporary. It will end. You're in a grind period. Sucks that both of you are at the same time, but hopefully you're young, you're able to. If you're older, that's fine too. Grind away. Proud of you. It's temporary. And then I think I wrote down weekends because just use the weekend to try as much as possible to unplug and to, like, go all out with each other. And maybe that doesn't mean planning a lavish date night. Like, maybe that means just a going all out with a relaxing movie night from home. That's my guy's favorite thing to do. We did that this past Saturday. Just, like, we made little root beer floats. We did popcorn. We did candy. Like, we brought the movies to us. Cute. And it was so amazing. Candles lit. It was, like, I don't know, just, like, really utilize. So oh, my God. It was so, that's, like, my ideal night, believe it or not.
Yeah, we do that a lot on weekends too. I think you need that. Like, you need alone time with you guys. Like, all of your time should not be consumed, like, around all other people. Yeah, like, you need that time together. The other thing that I do, because sometimes when work is crazy and it can be like a couple months in a row, like even 6 months in a row, where everything just feels like it's crap, I have learned that when John will tell me, like, a little debrief about his day at work, I'll just say, how did that make you feel? Like, at the end of everything he says, because instead of me now waiting for him to, like, get cranky or down and me being like, it's because of work, I've noticed that, like, he's low-key trying to tell me how he feels. He just doesn't know how to outright say it. So he'll just tell me what happened at work.
Oh, that's smart.
And then I'll say, how did that make you feel? And then it's like he immediately registers how it actually made him feel.
Instead of just, like, jumping on and shit talking with him.
And trying to eat it. Yeah, like, I'm not jumping on and shit talking with him. I'm just saying, how did that make you feel? And then he'll be like, like, actually, that was like really good. And like, that's something I've been like waiting for it to happen. So like, whatever. And that's when I know, like, lean into that feeling, because he just communicated with me that there was like some relief at work, but I did not know that like what he just told me, this like small thing, could contribute to this bigger picture of relief. Like,
also, I think that right there shows interest in what they're saying about work. And this goes both ways, not just for the woman to the man, vice versa. I think there's been times where our husbands come home from work, or we get home, whatever, and our partner goes to tell us about a work story. And it's not always fun. Let's admit, sometimes you're like, I don't fucking care about your work drama. But sometimes you do. Sometimes you do not care. I think it is important to like bite the bullet and just listen. If they're yapping your ear off every 5 seconds about work, then nip that. But I think it's important to just like give them the acknowledgement that you are listening and like really hear them.
yeah.
Because that'll just make them feel reassured, like they can tell their partner about work. If it's getting too much, set some boundaries there and be like, babe, listen, I'm here to support you. I just want to talk about things other than work. But I think you asking, how did that make you feel after he tells you a story about work, is a good way of intentionally listening.
I also think, like, you know how they say, like, when you write something down, you can, like, let it go?
Oh.
Like, that's why you, like, journal, like, your feelings. Or, like, if there's a traumatic story that you, or a traumatic thing that you've lived through, like, writing it down allows you to, like, stop trying to keep that memory by reciting it to yourself all the time. Like, you've put it somewhere.
I'm about to do that.
And then it's, like, safe there, and you know it's there if you ever need it. And then you stop holding yourself accountable for, like, not forgetting what happened. And so I think that works with talking to, like, when I say, how did that make you feel? If he comes back and says, like, stressed and, like, whatever, he's, like, now released that feeling. Like, he's feeling like, oh, I finally get to say that how this made me feel. I get to validate it. So he's not invalid, because no one's talking about their feelings at work.
Yeah.
So therefore, once the feeling is out there and validated, he feels like he doesn't have to hold on to it. And then he stops bringing it into our relationship. Like, it doesn't start snowballing into all of this other stuff where, like, because work is down and out, now he's down and out at home, and then our relationship is stressed and, like, off. It's like, no, I'm saying, how did you feel? He's saying how he felt. He's putting it out there. I'm validating it. He feels no need to hold on to it. He feels confident in his emotions and, like they were affirmed. And then now he feels, like, safe in our house and doesn't bring work in.
And can release it.
Emotionally. So it, like, works.
It's good advice for the one.
If you have a long road ahead of you for that, I think that helps.
I love that.
Okay, give us another one.
How to make time for your relationship when everything feels like it's falling apart.
I kind of like what you just said for that. My only other thing is to start going on walks, because you're, like, uninterrupted time together. You have to talk about stuff.
Doesn't cost money.
Yeah.
And it releases chemicals. This is me, like, trying to be a scientist all of a sudden.
A researcher.
Chemicals that make you more open to having a discussion.
Oh.
This is where I pull something
up.
like a figment of knowledge I learned through, like, something, and I'm pulling it out of my ass. Okay.
I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I wrote down small trip, new experience, which Mike and I talked about in our one episode, like how to regain the spark. And get out of a rut, like new experiences. Bring your husband to a sound bath, and that will solve everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
help. I have baby fever so bad, but still want to wait a little. Such a confusing feeling.
Listen to 8 episodes ago.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
No, just wait. Just, like, follow your gut. Like, you have baby fever. Like, you probably are ready for certain aspects of parenthood.
Yeah.
But not all of them, unless you're, like, really having a conversation over and over again where you're like, I want to try.
Yeah. Also, I just thought about this earlier today when we were talking with our friend Allie, and I don't know if this is toxic advice, but this is my advice, so just take it or leave it. I like to, like, gravitate to different types of friends. I mean, it's not like I'm, like, friend hopping. I keep all my friends and communicate with them as much as I can evenly, but, like, I like having pockets of different friends in different life stages. So, like, my married with kid friends, my single just dating friends that are not married with kids, my older friends that are just dating and not married with you. Just so like, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm not the only one who's not having a baby yet, or I'm not the only one who's married yet. And I think when you are feeling baby fever, but you want to wait a little, yes, a confusing feeling, totally understand. But having just a variety of friends in different life stages helps with that, because it helps guide you, because you're able to see what they're doing.
Oh, are you talking about how like earlier when we were like, basically if we lived somewhere where everyone had kids, or it was like boring, like we'd have kids by now because like everyone around you would have kids. So like, of course,
Yeah,
if you
and
were
I'm
the
saying
last one holding out.
I'm not saying like don't have any friends who are living in
No, but you're
more
saying
rural.
like you might have done it before you were ready.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely, you adapt to the people around you. So that's what I'm saying. Just like have a variety of different friends. Because like we talked about in our whole baby fever episode, sometimes it's not wanting a baby. Sometimes it's just a fever. Sometimes it's not wanting a baby yet. You want a baby at some point.
I think you have fever. Yeah.
It's just a fever. But it doesn't mean act on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like have friends in different life stages. So then like, yeah, I mean, you don't ever feel pressured one way or the other.
Yeah. Also,
So you're not
just,
holding
like-
out for the wrong reasons. You're holding out for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You're not doing it to assimilate, and you're not doing it
Ooh, assimilate. I like that.
to assimilate. So like you have options.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, how to get over anxiety over my BFF being upset if I'm preg on her batch. That's just like so. I feel bad for you because like she really shouldn't be upset at you for being pregnant.
I wrote down, fuck that.
Yeah, you did.
No, like nobody, that's not a friend. If anybody's upset at you for being pregnant, that's not a friend. I mean, it sounds like the person who wrote this AMA question is just having the anxiety. Her BFF might not even be upset. So just don't worry. Like if you're still a fun person and you're still great vibes, you should be able to be sober. You should be able to be pregnant. You should be able to be whatever you want on a bachelorette, and a good friend will support you.
I agree. I think that sucks. Like, but to deal with the anxiety of it, like I think you have to have a conversation with her and just be like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be confrontational at all. Just like say something along the lines of like how excited you are, how address the timing. I'm always want to say like, I'm sorry, I wish the timing was better, but I'm like super excited about this pregnancy. And honestly, just so excited that it's not in the last trimester when I couldn't travel, because like that would be terrible.
Yeah.
Like I'm just so excited that the timing means I still get to be there and like have such a great time, and put it into perspective for her that like it could be way worse.
Yeah.
Like you're not high risk.
I would never say I'm sorry. I'm a big fan of not apologizing as I walk around all day being like, sorry. But like, don't apologize. You're planning family. You got pregnant.
Yeah.
She is in a different stage of life. You can still be just as good a friend on the batch.
I agree. So I think you just have to put it in
that
perspective.
idea of like addressing it and just being like,
Just
look,
address it. Like
I am pregnant, but I am going to raise the vibration so high you won't even notice. You know?
because maybe she's nervous that the vibration will be lower because of that. So squash your fears and also put it into perspective. Like it could be worse. Like you could even be so high risk that you couldn't even fly right now. And thank God that's not the case.
And if it was, that would be okay too. I'm a big fan. We've gotten these questions before of people being like, oh, but do I wait? Is that rude of me to get pregnant because my friend is getting married? No. Like you're not expected to plan your life around anyone else.
And do what works for you. I think the only way that works is when it's the other way around, when you have someone's specific wedding that you don't want to be pregnant for. Like I have a lot of friends like that have done it kind of that way, where they're like, okay, I specifically do not want to be pregnant for this wedding in Napa. Like,
then don't. Yeah.
So I'm going to wait. That's great because it's still your decision. Like you get to make that decision, but not vice versa.
Want to know something?
Yes.
Funny / like sad. The other day to my sister, when we were on our Florida trip, not the other day, I was like, you're like going through your hot era. It's annoying.
You told
like,
me
you're
this.
older than me. Did I?
You texted me, Jenna's going through her hot era. It's so annoying.
I was like, I need to get injected. I haven't gotten Botox in too long. I was like, I need all this stuff. Get me like whatever you're having. You're like annoyingly hot right now. What's going on? Like, what are you doing? And she was like, it's the first year I haven't been pregnant. And I was like, no, that's not why. You're still beautiful pregnant. Like,
Wait, that is so terrible.
but she was like, You just affirmed.
No,
She's
that
like, I gave my body a break.
that became a backhanded compliment so fast.
And I was like, I didn't realize that, but I go,
No. Oh my God, no.
This goes into our whole body episode.
Yeah.
You can still be like, whatever.
No, but I think, because she's like, man, I've been less pretty, like less hot.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, whoops. You just look hot now, extra hot now. You're always
She is very hot right now.
Yeah. Well,
but that's actually hilarious. Your body does need a break.
We're getting injected in a couple weeks. I can't wait.
Okay, how to not be stressed about being a young mom, 29 and want 3, married but waiting. I thought this was great because I'm 29 and I want 4 and I'm waiting. So don't be stressed. I'm going to be done by 40 still if everything goes according to plan. And I made a timeline and I presented it to John.
How to not be stressed about being... Oh, do you get stressed about
not being a young mom? I think you're still... My answer is you're 29 when you want 3. So the first thing is like... You're still going to be done having babies by 40 and most people aren't. So like that's still kind of a young mom. So don't put yourself in the old category too quickly. Like, don't jump the gun.
I wrote down, what is a young mom?
Young mom is like...
I know what a young mom is, but...
A young mom.
Here's the thing. This is where I get my mindset cap on. And... Scientifically, yes. Do we get more tired as we get older? Yes. You can tell I've stressed about this too.
I'm tired right now from the sun.
I'm exhausted.
I can't even function.
I have one brain cell.
I don't want to know what's going to happen.
No, and here's the thing. My family they have this bit where like narcoleptic Nikki, I've always just like fallen asleep easily. They're like, when you have kids, you're going to be extra tired. I'm like, thanks, fuckers. But my thing is like, I always hear people being like, oh, but I want to be a young mom. I want to be a young mom. Well, guess what? Your kids are going to...
I'm having such intrusive thoughts. I'm like, but I don't want to be a poor mom. So I have to wait.
Do I want to be a poor mom? A poor young mom? No. But
I hate myself. I keep thinking.
But are we? And I'm not saying every mom that has kids young is poor.
Most of them aren't. That's the point.
Yeah.
The really unfiltered answer to this is most of the young moms that you see are so financially stable that they can afford to have babies without it altering the way that they live their lives.
Just switched from like laughing to so serious.
No, because it really bothers me where I'm like, no, these women are a lot of these women that are doing it intentionally. Like are strapped.
Are ready.
They're ready to go strapped for it. They're strapped for it. Like they've got it all lined up. Like the nanny is there if they want it. Like the chef is there if they want it. Like the trainer to help their body bounce back is there if they want it. The space in the house is there.
All of them. There are listeners listening who are probably like 26 and have 2 kids and they're like, I'm not strapped. And that's fine too. You were ready and you shouldn't regret a thing. But I also think like this young mom facade, guess what? Like, I'm always tired. Nothing's going to change. But I think like people are like, oh, but I want to be energetic with my kids. I want to play with my kids. You're not going to have them at age 75. You'll still be able to play with your children.
People also like want to have like third generations. I was thinking about this recently. I was like, we probably will be one of the first generations where like there won't be 3 generations of any family alive at a time.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, so that actually is something I was thinking about.
That stresses me out.
See, it is stressful.
To answer her question, yes.
It is stressful when you think about it that way.
Yeah, yes, I get stressed all the time. Do I feel like I'm late all the time? Hell yes. Then do I talk to people who talk me down and they're like, you're fine, chill? Yes, I flip-flop back and forth. I can't decide what is happening in my life.
But I think to not be stressed out is that you just have to make the decision that works for you because once you do it, you can't undo it. Like,
very true.
You did it.
Well, also just know, like, your kids, when your kids come, you're going to want to play with them. You're going to want to be energetic with them at times, not all the time. Like, I think it's just so different. Like, am I tired around some of my nephews and stuff? Because, they're not my own. Like, I'm still aunt of the year for them, so never. But, I don't know. Like, your kids are going to be your special experience for you and your partner, hopefully. And you will be young or old, you'll be a great mom.
I always think about my own mom in this situation because she had me at 30, my sister at 32, and then my next sister at 38, and the last one at 40.
Same.
So here's the thing, is like my mom started having kids at 30, and she ended at 40, and she had 4, and there was a huge gap between us, and 10 years between the youngest and the oldest. And I'm telling you right now, because of phase of life, my mom has been way more of a fun parent for the youngest 2 siblings than she could have been for me. And she knows this, and we talk about this all the time. Like my younger sisters like gave her life. Like,
yeah,
they gave her
they
this.
keep you young.
Well, they just like gave her this new life in this era for her where she was like ready for it. And earlier it was like me and my first sister, like we were her life. Yeah. And then my younger 2 sisters like gave her life. And like, that's so great. Like she got younger with them.
Also to me, like what's a couple years different? Like if I started at 28 versus 30, 31, is that really classifying me as such an old mom? No, like whatever.
Like I just think it's more about like how old are you going to be when your kids graduate high school and college, and people make you feel bad about this. And I always think about this, it's so dumb, but like Kylie Jenner is like, I want to be a young mom. And that's why I always go back to the like, what's your financial position thing? Because like you do have the freedom to say that when you have the resources to not have your life be affected
Kylie
more than you want it to be.
Popped out a baby at 12.
Even Sophia Richie, like I hate to say, it's like you are able to choose how much this changes your life because you have the resources to decide. And so when people like that speak out about being a young mom, I understand why it gives stress, but they're also in a very, very different position. Like you have got to decide when you like it works for you to become a mom, because becoming a mom just to be a young mom before you're ready could take years off of your life easily. Like it could just really age you very, very quickly. Like, so don't let that.
But also like, you know what I mean? Like what is a young mom? Does that mean like you're doing fun crafts with your kids? Can you not do that at 40? You know what I mean? Like, no, it's subjective.
My mom technically would be an old mom for my younger sisters, and my mom is so much fun. She's so energetic.
Same.
Like all of those things. Like, yes, I think your mom literally was the life of the party. Like it's more.
Did Pilates, walked the dog, like very healthy. It's unfortunate that cancer sucks, but like I think it's more focus on more, at least what I'm gonna do is focus on more like, instead of stressing over not being considered a quote young mom, be like a fun, healthy mom.
Stay healthy.
Stay
active.
Yeah, get that sunshine.
I think also be happy, because I have seen firsthand what happiness can do to a parent. That's going to make me like, that's going to make me so emotional. we Why does this always happen? But when your mom, like, and when you see your parent, like, become happy, like, it really changes everything. So, like, just be a happy mom and you'll be a young mom, I think.
Oh my God. Caroline's really crying. You're going to make me cry. No, that's so true.
So just be happy.
And on that note, we are so over time. We always do this. We get to the juice right when we're ending, but we're going to continue this. I get this. I wish we
happy and you will be young. We love you guys.
10-hour episodes. We love you guys.
FML.
Don't even rate, review, subscribe. Just be a happy mom.
Just be happy.
We love you.